I would just say that you have to make an emotional connection with the audience and have something to say. So it's of the heart and it's of the mind. That great stories that become TV series, they have what's called a story machine. It can generate many, many episodes. And so that the idea is that we have to connect to the humanity and the humor and the heartbeat of a character. And through that connection, we now want to go on a journey with them. And that stories are ultimately about transformation and change. So I showed Breaking Bad today because it's about going to the dark side, and that the audience is going along with somebody who's making very dangerous decisions, and at some point they're detaching from this character, and they go from loving the character to be either fearing for them or despising him, but they're still transfixed. Many times people think you have to have likable characters. What you have to have is characters that we find either create empathy or they create fascination. So their darkness becomes addictive. We want to watch them every week, watch whatever crazy thing they do, because it taps into our darkness. To watch somebody acting out in dark ways makes us aware of our own shadow, our own darkness. So stories can move you emotionally, but they can also awaken you to the thoughts that you have in your own mind. And for many people, you end up feeling less alone in the world when people go make dangerous choices. You may not make that, but you've had that thought. So you're watching, in a weird way, your own story on screen. In Breaking Bad, you have a character who's the hero in his family who becomes an anti-hero, becomes a villain. It's important when you're designing a character to think of them as a personality, as a person. Some writers don't like to do that. They're my characters. But then sometimes those writers are autocratic. It's like, these are my puppets. And I think the more you think about a person and you start observing people in the world and learning like why they behave the way they behave, they become fascinating. So I gave the example of a person I knew that I was self-centered or self-promoting, but then I learned about her and I was like, oh, I felt bad for her. That's what happens in a great story. You present an image and then you think about, as my teachers talked about, stories of psychological striptease, where you're peeling back veil after veil after veil, getting more and more deep into a character and learning about their secret lives. And as you do that, you have more and more empathy. It doesn't mean at the end you don't want the person to be destroyed, but it makes it a much more profound story where you actually have mixed feelings about someone.